Go. And we are on sync too. I love to see it. I love to see it. All right. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's Mitch and it is Sam today, as we do not have Stravinsky with us. No Calvin as well. So it'll be just us two today. So first, as we always do, we'll start with just with reviewing the previous week, going over the Power Five conferences. We'll talk about the biggest games for a little bit. And starting off, we have a big rivalry with West Virginia going on the road to take on Virginia Tech. I thought this would be a competitive game as I took the Hokies in a close one. West Virginia instead pretty much manhandled them, won 33 to 10. Wasn't really the greatest look for Virginia Tech in this one. Other than that, I have really nothing else to share on a poor performance for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Probably won't be picking them again this year.
Absolutely right.
The next day we had Virginia heading on the road to play Syracuse. Of course, Stravinsky, a huge Syracuse fan. If I sound really like dead tired or just really dry, it's because I really am dead tired. If you guys don't know, I was in Florida for a vacation, and we had a nightmare trying to get out of Florida, as obviously there's a hurricane going through the state right now. We woke up at about 4 in the morning just to drive to Atlanta to try and fix stuff and get out of Florida and just get home. So I am running on probably about 4 hours of sleep right now. So I will definitely get plenty of rest tonight. Anyways, Virginia at Syracuse. This was a brutal game. Neither team really wanted to win this game, as it seemed Syracuse would run away with it early, as they had the 16-0 lead at halftime. But they kept turning it over constantly and kept giving Virginia uh, ample opportunities to win the game, and instead, Virginia blew their chance to win the game with multiple penalties, and Syracuse would kick another field goal at the end, winning it by 2. Not the prettiest game, but a win's a win no matter how you get it. So, congrats on Syracuse on still an undefeated year so far.
Yep, Syracuse holds on by literally a thread. But I'm sure, Cervenski's got to be the happiest Syracuse fan there is right now.
Oh, I guarantee you. Yeah, he is. He is geeks about the fact that they ended up winning that game. Wasn't pretty, but like I said, a win's a win. Doesn't matter. You don't get style points. You don't get style points in this world. I mean, until you get to the playoff, you want good, at least somewhat good looking wins. But you know, even seeing how this year has gone so far, anything seems to be possible, and the crazier things seem to be happening. And then really the only other good ACC game that we had was on Saturday. It was in the noon slot here. We had Clemson going on the road to play Wake Forest. Was expected more of a I didn't expect to have necessarily a shootout as we did in this game, as Clemson would take the win 51 to 45 over Wake Forest in double overtime. I thought this would be where Clemson showed their defense was capable of against a good Wake Forest offense, and they did not. Sam Hartman abused this Clemson secondary and put up an insane insane stat line. Of course, Wake Forest defense couldn't stop anybody in that game, as Clemson just ran all over them and threw all over them and did whatever the heck they wanted. So Wake Forest seems to be the same team as they were last year. Clemson, once again, not the prettiest showing. Expected their defense to show a bit more than they did in this game, and it really did not show up, as Wake did what they wanted. And Clemson next has NC State at home, who has Devin Leary as their quarterback, which is about the same thing as Sam Hartman. So I don't know where this Clemson team is at this point. I thought the defense was the specialty of this team, but after seeing what Wake just did, my hopes aren't high for the Tigers right now.
Well, Brett Venables, defensive coordinator for Clemson, kind of expected their defense to have a slight drop off, and I think it testifies to how good Wake Forest offense really is and how committed they are. Clemson is in a lot better spot than they were last year at this point in time. That's for sure.
All right, yeah, I would say so too. Last season, obviously, their team just was in complete shambles. It was not a good look. Other than that, we have NC State killing UConn 41-10. Not a surprise. Pitt winning 45-24 over Rhode Island. Oh yes, Miami, Florida. Very disappointing showing. As the Hurricanes, still ranked after losing to Texas A&M, ranked 25th, went up against Mid Tennessee State and did not look good. So bad to the point of where they lost at home to Mid Tennessee State, 45-31. This Miami, Florida team, headed by Mario Cristobal, of course, expected a lot more out of this team with guys like Tyler Van Dyke, and really you just thought that Miami, Florida would look a lot better than this, but the offense, they did not look good against Mid Tennessee State, and losing at home to Mid Tennessee State definitely is an issue. I will go get a charger. I will be back soon. Sam, take it away.
That's fun to laugh about right there. But
And of course, it died. Of course.
oh, the recording died.
Well, the laptop did. I don't know why. It gave me the message saying it was running low on power, and then it just. I went out to get the charger. I come back and the screen's black. I'm like, what the heck?
Uh,
uh, so we'll just start. We'll just kind of like go off from where we were. I'll just cut out the whole area of where obviously we'll black out.
wonder how much it got of me talking.
Probably. I don't know. Not much, honestly. I don't think it was very much.
About how Miami's not
Oh.
Miami.
Well, I can always I can just cut out that point. I'm like, I mean, we can go back over Mid Tennessee State and Miami.
Okay, I just won't talk as much.
There you
So I
go.
think I was sitting there talking for a good 2 minutes because I did not know if it was recording or not.
All right. So we'll get back on. Well, it actually already is going, but we'll restart in.
Wait, I need to get more uh, dipping sauce.
Okay.
Spinach honey choke dip.
I didn't even realize that was is that? Oh no, no, it's on by. Okay, that's why. All right. So let's start up again in three, two,
Oh,
one,
I don't have to
and
clap back in.
hmm?
We don't have to clap back in, do we?
No, 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 not for this
Oh,
one. So we'll just like we'll go back to the beginning for Mid Tennessee State, Miami, Florida,
okay.
and we'll do that in three, two, one, and go. And so we have Mid Tennessee State somehow beating Miami, Florida. This is not a good look if you're the Hurricanes. I mean, they were still ranked at this point. They had just lost to Texas A&M in that ugly 17-9 game. Of course, the offense headed by former Michigan offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis. Tyler Van Dyke, a NFL prospect at quarterback, being the guy currently for Miami, Florida, and then they come out and obviously put an absolute dud out there against Mid Tennessee State. Um, I thought this Miami, Florida team was solid, and I don't necessarily think they're a bad team, but this is certainly not a good look for a team that had very high hopes coming into the year, possibly even ACC title hopes, and you come into a game and you really have an ugly showing on your own home field. It makes trusting you very difficult.
Yes. Miami and Texas. Everyone needs to stop saying that they're back. That is the most annoying thing I hear on a day-to-day basis referring to college football is the increase in talent compared to Texas and Miami. And what I would say is, yes, maybe they are good teams, but they are clearly not great teams. Great teams play consistently. They get the wins, the ugly wins, even if they're ugly at home, and they get the blowouts too. They get them in all shapes and sizes. But Miami and Texas, they tend to have their weeks where they just fall off a cliff. And that was definitely this past week for Miami against Middle Tennessee State. So, sorry, Miami. You're not.
Yeah, they definitely are. They don't seem, not this year. It's not this year. It seems for Miami. Next, we have Duke on the road against Kansas. Oddly, these two were 3-0 playing each other. Yeah, no, this isn't college basketball. It's actually college football, and both teams are 3-0. So don't know what the heck is happening. I don't think the world is ending, but these two were 3-0 in this game, playing each other. And Kansas came out with an 8-point win over the Duke Blue Devils. Good win for them. 4-0 now to start the year. Go figure that one. Kansas, a 4-0 team going into week 5. I never would have imagined that being the case, especially with their having Houston, West Virginia on the road weeks 2 and 3. They end up winning both somehow. Very good start to the season, really, for Kansas. Been surprised by them. USF on the road against Louisville, losing 41 to
What,
3.
I don't get to say anything about that.
Hmm.
I don't get to say anything about that.
Oh, I mean, if you have some game, just chime in.
Well, yeah. I was going to comment on Kansas and Duke. The comment I was going to make: Kansas, Duke, Syracuse, UCLA, Indiana. Those are all basketball-oriented schools, and they're off to tremendous starts in football. And I was going to say, Kansas has not been 5-0 since 2009. That is what they're looking forward to this next week. And it's really exciting for them, I'm sure. And I'm sure they don't even know what to do there because they don't even know what winning football looks like. So it's fun. It's probably, I don't even know what it looks like on campus right now. They must be like having the time of their life.
Oh, I guarantee you they are. Because they're never. I almost can guarantee you they will probably never get this excited again for football.
They're coming right off a college basketball championship, so
Yeah,
just
they're
riding that momentum.
yeah they're the defending champs. So I mean, honestly, it's very nice to see Kansas football not being the joke of the college football anymore. At least it seems for this year. Next, we have Notre Dame on the road against North Carolina, a 45-32 win for the Irish. North Carolina just doesn't have any defense. I thought they would win this one as Notre Dame had looked bad offensively, but 24-point second quarter really did in the Tar Heels in this one. It's always that one quarter where North Carolina just seems to completely give up defensively and just try to outscore you, and it didn't work again. But this North Carolina team, solid offense. That defense needs a lot of work.
Yeah, surprised me. I mean, I knew they were not good defensively. Gave up 61 to Appalachian State. But I didn't think, I mean, the way Notre Dame has looked the first 3 weeks, they did play Ohio State pretty competitively. And losing to Marshall, having a one-score game against Cal, barely getting out of there. Like, it looked really concerning for me how Notre Dame has been playing. So I just didn't feel I could trust them. It was in North Carolina, too, wasn't it? So I thought they had it.
Yeah, it was in Chapel Hill.
It was in Chapel Hill, but I guess that blue blood couldn't do it.
Yeah, very good. Honestly, a good win for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. As obviously it's been a rough season so far for poor Marcus Freeman. Then finishing off the ACC, we have UCF beating Georgia Tech 27-10, and Florida State beating Boston College 44-14. Not really any surprises there. So moving on, next conference we have the Big 12. I'm gonna try and get through this as we've already spent a lot of time on just the ACC. We already went over West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Big game here. Kansas State heading to Norman and knocking off Oklahoma. 41-34 in this one. Adrian Martinez could not be stopped in this game. Oklahoma's defense had no idea how to stop him from running the football all over him. Kansas State held the lead the entire game on the road and never relinquished it. This was a very shocking game to me, as I thought Oklahoma's team was decent. I didn't think they were necessarily some great team, especially not number 6 in the country. But I did not see Kansas State being the one to take them down, especially in Norman. Uh, Kansas State is a decent team, but considering they lost to Tulane the previous week, I am not overly enthused by the Wildcats.
Maybe Oklahoma thought they were playing Nebraska. Adrian Martinez is on Nebraska. That's why they just couldn't get past the mental block, clearly. No, this game I did watch a little bit. And really, both teams' defenses, they just gave up bomb play after bomb play after bomb play. And in the end, Kansas State had the last laugh. So, good win for them. Good pickup for them. And we will definitely be talking about Kansas State a little bit later, too.
Yes, we will be, as we'll be doing the picks in our next video. I'm really slow today, guys. I'm sorry. Next, we have the Baylor Bears on the road against the Iowa State Cyclones, not the Hawkeyes. Get it together. 31-24 win in Ames for the Baylor Bears. Nice win for Baylor. Not easy to go into Ames, getting wins there. They escape with their lives, getting the 7-point win. Nice win on the road. You already got one loss at BYU. You can't really afford more if you want to make it to the playoffs. So good win for Baylor.
Yeah. Number one complete Baylor in their test of getting back. Because Iowa State is never an easy place to play. The state of Iowa is never an easy place to play. It's just a bunch of cornfields. Like, what do you look for scenery?
Nowhere. You look nowhere whatsoever. And speaking of, we were talking about Miami, Florida, and they're not being back. Well, how about the Longhorns and them not being back? As they go to Lubbock to play the Texas Tech Raiders and fall in overtime. Texas Tech getting to win 37-34. This may have given Longhorn fans eerie similarities to the one year when Texas Tech upset the Longhorns. As I think Texas was like the number 1 or 2 team in the country, and they got the last second touchdown. I guarantee you, this probably had eerie. This probably gave them eerie vibes to that game. However many years ago that was. For the Longhorns, I mean, I get obviously not having Quinn Ewers definitely seems to be hurting the Longhorns. I mean, they looked really good against Alabama. They were keeping up with the Crimson Tide, and then he got hurt, and it has seemed to just all gone downhill since that point. Don't remember if Hudson Card was all that special in this game, but clearly Texas is suffering from. Is suffering from having the loss of Quinn Ewers. It's definitely hurting them.
Texas is not back. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think we all are agreed on that one. Next, we have the. Why am I forgetting what the name of this is? We have TCU and the Iron Skillet battle. That's what it is. We have TCU at SMU. TCU gained a 42-34 win. Sonny Dykes knocking off his former team. Good win for the Horned Frogs. They hold on to their undefeated record so far. Unblemished season still. Good game really, as it was close throughout. TCU though getting the big win on the road as well against a good SMU team.
Yep, this game was played about 15 minutes where I live. Both these teams do not like each other. Their campuses are only about 30, 45 minutes away at most. So they're in close proximity. Closer, maybe not as big as a rivalry as, like, say, TCU, Baylor, or Texas Oklahoma. You have the Cotton Bowl, stuff like that. But it's
Mhm.
still a good rivalry, good game, and Sir Ben is wrong again picking SMU, and if he picks him again, I'm gonna scream.
All right. You heard it here first. And then we already talked about Duke and Kansas. Kansas getting the
Yeah,
win there. So let's go to the Big Ten. Big Ten, there was a couple decent games here. Illinois killing Chattanooga 31 to nothing. Not a surprise. Let's just get on to our Wolverines here. The Band-Aid right off the bat. Michigan having a little bit of some trouble with the Maryland Terrapins. Bit of a sluggish game. We come out with a win 34 27 in the big house. Really Michigan's first big challenge of the year, of course, as we had a couple teams as our opponents so far this year have what one I think combined win between all three of them, between Colorado State, UConn, Hawaii. There's only been one of those teams that even has a win. So Maryland was clearly our biggest challenge and our first really real opponent of the season, and it was a slow start for Michigan, and I wasn't entirely surprised by that because they hadn't played anyone all season. So they kind of waltzed in there thinking they'd be able to walk all over the Terrapins just like they had everybody else, and they figured out the hard way that wasn't going to happen. Clearly, the Wolverines were not on their best in this game. J.J. McCarthy missed a couple deep passes. But you really saw where Michigan, has work to do. And that's what I really wanted to see. Because we blew out everybody we played in the first three games, but none of those teams can win games. They're not going. None of those teams are any good. So now you play a real opponent. Now you finally get to see what Michigan really is. And this is a good Maryland team. They were actually much better than I expected them to be in this game. I thought they were average, but I did not think they were this good. Their kickers got an enormous leg. Tualia, the offense, very talented for Maryland. And really, like when Michigan got into the second half, they really seemed to turn on the Jets. Really, the thing I don't like is our offensive play calling. As I mean, Josh Gaddis, I did not like him either, and then he left. Now we have the offensive line coach and the QB coach splitting, play calls between the two of them. But Michigan's play calling in this game was very confusing. As Maryland played a crud ton of deep zone and deep coverage, and they kept calling like the same thing, or they would say they had one point called like seven straight halfback dives. I'm going, how on earth do you think that is going to work in any scenario? And really I kept looking at this, like they kept going really deep, and I'm going play action pass, play action pass, play action pass, play action pass. It seemed like the most obvious thing to do, and they never do it. And we had it just their play calling was very confusing, very aggravating, but we still get the win. It wasn't the prettiest win, but it showed that Michigan still has work to do, and they still have some flaws, but that's what you want to see. You want to see them get some adversity, of which they hadn't had all year because they didn't play anybody. So they see some adversity. They still come out with the win. Now they got another big game coming up this week. We'll see what the Wolverines do, but I mean, not the prettiest game, but at least we won. At least we won.
yeah. This is another one I pay close attention to because it's Michigan, obviously.
Exactly.
Um, I from this game, I don't know if Tualia doesn't get hurt, and if there are a couple of calls that go the other way, like they're supposed to, like a certain interception that Michigan had late in the fourth quarter, I mean, we could be talking about a completely different outcome right now because Maryland really hung in there for all of the game. Like, even they went down to the end, they got the touchdown, they got the 2-point conversion. Obviously, they couldn't get the onside kick, but they still fought to the end. This Maryland team looks pretty decent, a lot better than we were expecting. So it makes you feel a little bit better as a Michigan fan, like seeing other teams play well against your team to see how you can improve, what adjustments you can make. And so, as a Michigan fan, you like to see that. Um, you like to see Blake Corum go off every single time, every single game. He is phenomenal. He had 30 carries, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think the 243 yards is a career high for him. And so you like to see him continue to go off. You like to see that continue into next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. But I like to see more. I'd definitely like to see some more growth from J.J. McCarthy as we keep going on the year. It's first year, just kind of first year starting, kind of getting into a groove now. So he's going to miss some of those passes at first, but I think as he gets locked in further down the road into tighter games, into games that have more meaning, I think we're going to see the true J.J. McCarthy come out, whether that's against Michigan State, whether it's against Iowa, whether it's against
Penn State.
Penn State for sure. Yes, Penn State. It's gonna the rubber's gonna meet the road pretty soon for JJ McCarthy. He's either gonna pass with flying colors or fall right to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young guy, obviously. I mean, he's younger than both of us, just to keep that in mind. So, and it's his first season as a starter, so it's gonna take him time to, like you said, get in the rhythm, get in the system. It's his first year, really, and he didn't even start the first game. It was Cade McNamara who started the first game. And then he got to start, of course, the second game against Hawaii. So he's getting into a rhythm. This is his first big opponent. Maybe not the greatest showing, but now he's got another chance against the Iowa Hawkeyes in a much bigger game. And first road test for him as well. So obviously another big game there for him. Next, we have a stunning outcome with Ohio State destroying Wisconsin 52-21. I thought Ohio State would win this game. I did think Wisconsin had a chance because, I saw what Notre Dame did to Ohio State with their offensive line, with their running game, and Wisconsin is very good running the football. And I thought Wisconsin would keep in this game just by, with that running attack. I even said, like, when we picked this game, I said, if Graham Mertz can at least be competent in this game and they're able to run the football, Wisconsin has a very good chance of winning. Instead, Ohio State just blasts them off the face of the earth, winning it by 31. Very shocking outcome in this one. I was not expecting to see that. So clearly, Wisconsin is nowhere near as good as anyone has been saying.
No, not at all. I'm not quite as shocked. I have not been a Wisconsin guy this year in particular. Not a Graham Mertz guy either. I don't think he runs the system well in Wisconsin. I think he takes too many risks, and once you have a risky quarterback and you have a Wisconsin system where it's not designed to take too many risks, I think that's when Ohio State took advantage significantly over the course of the game and just let them out pretty much. Like, I don't think Wisconsin's anywhere near the talent level of Ohio State, so I wasn't too surprised at this outcome.
All right. Next, we have Penn State taking down Central Michigan 33-14. How about Minnesota heading to Michigan State and manhandling the Spartans in this one, nearly shutting them out at Spartan Stadium, winning 34-7. This Minnesota team is definitely a solid team, but Michigan State, coming off that disappointing loss on the road against Washington, I thought would bounce back and have a nice game against Minnesota. I still took the Gophers because Michigan State's secondary got decimated so much by Washington, but I did not expect to see the Gopher defense completely shut down Michigan State's offense. That's exactly what they did. Very impressive game for Minnesota heading on the road and doing that to Michigan State. Clearly, I think Minnesota is the best looking Big Ten West team at this point. Sam?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm completely shocked as well. I did not expect Minnesota to come in with as much firepower as they did. I know they are a talented offensive team, but I thought Michigan State would have somewhat of a backbone at being at home coming back. So it was a little surprising. And Minnesota right now is your leader of the Big Ten West.
Yeah, very impressive for Minnesota. Very good win for Minnesota. When first game of the Big Ten for Big Ten play for them this season, and gain a huge win on the road. Next, we have Indiana heading to Cincinnati, losing 45-24. Iowa heading to Rutgers, getting the win 27-10. What a surprise! A defensive showdown between Iowa and between an Iowa game, a defensive showdown. I think they only had because defense, yeah, Iowa's defense got 2 defensive touchdowns, so they only had 13 offensive points. What a surprise!
Yeah, the over
So
under I think was 35 for this game, so it was over.
yeah, that's right. The over under. Yeah, it was like 35 and a half or something like that. So it actually just slightly went over. Next, we have Miami, Ohio taking on Northwestern, and the Wildcats are really not looking good. Losing at home to Miami, Ohio, 17-14. I actually considered taking this for a shocker. I should have done it. I took the Rutgers Iowa one. Stupid. Northwestern losing again at home. They lost to Duke earlier at home. Then they haven't won a game at home this year. Just
They haven't
point.
won a game in America this year.
That's true because they won in Ireland. But they have not. They've lost 3 straight to Duke, Southern Illinois, and now Miami, Ohio.
So how bad is Nebraska?
Yeah, that's also a very good point there. How if Northwestern can't beat any of these teams, then how bad can Nebraska be? But really, I don't mean Northwestern really has seemed to just completely tumble. Like coming out of that Nebraska game, it seemed like Northwestern had a decent team, or maybe at least a somewhat competent team, and you lose 3 straight to three. Well, I mean, who knows about Duke, but Miami, Ohio, and Southern Illinois, those are 2 teams you should be beating, and you lose to both of them. That's not good.
No, Northwestern at best is looked mediocre, and that was against Nebraska. So it's a couple of Big Ten teams are just falling from the sky, I guess. That's the best I can put it.
And we have one last game here. Purdue getting the close win against FAU at home, winning 28-26. Purdue's team loves to commit penalties and shoot themselves in the foot constantly. So really trusting that team to ever win is very hard. But they end up winning that one just barely, along with another team from the Pac-12, as we'll jump over to that conference. We got one more, so let's just keep, let's keep this rolling. So we got
The
U.S.
SEC too.
Huh?
SEC still too.
Yeah, but that won't take very long,
Oh
probably.
god.
We got USC getting a very close win at home against Oregon State, 17-14. Very lackluster showing from both. Well, offensively for both teams. USC seemed to almost fall under the upset. Upset Meister that everyone was seemingly having trouble with, as USC, Michigan, many other teams were having pretty much everyone in the top 10 was having some sort of problem with some other team and nearly losing. But USC would escape winning in Corvallis. Big win for USC. Coming up close there. Their first road game, first big, or no, second Pac 12 game. A big win for the Trojans. Anything to say, Sam, or you just want to keep this going?
Just say I watched the end of that game. Oregon State had a chance to win. Threw it right away. I was like, what is happening? I mean, I like Oregon State too. I think they're a solid team. They just have a brutal schedule. That's all.
Yeah, the Oregon State schedule really is harsh. All right, we got Utah on the road against Arizona State, winning 34-13. Arizona State's program is a legit dumpster fire. Next, we have the Oregon Ducks heading on the road to play Washington State. They pull out the 3-point win, 44-41. Close game for Oregon. They still have looked dramatically better than that Georgia game. But really, Oregon seemingly starting. Oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. Oregon had 29 point fourth quarter. Okay. Well, I did not really watch much of this game. I just saw that Oregon ended up winning it. I did not realize they scored 29 in the fourth quarter. Holy cow. Okay. So Oregon making a big time comeback late to win that game. Wow, that's uh, something else. Next we have Washington. Stanford on the road against Washington, taking a tumble 40-22 at Huskies Stadium. The Huskies remain undefeated. Nice win for the Huskies. UCLA killing Colorado 45-17. Shocker there. And Cal beating Arizona 49-31. Not much else really to say about the Pac 12. You got anything to say?
Just they lost it down. Went from first to third down, and Washington State ended up punting, and they were at midfield. They were driving. That penalty killed them. I actually I would like to take this time to make an announcement. I have acquired a position as a replay official for the Big 12. So I will be focusing in closely on Big 12 games, and I will be very informed the next time that I'm on this podcast on specifically on Big 12 games. So yes, that's why I'm in depth looking into replays and plays, and those are plays that replay should stop and take a look at. And they'll get it right, and then Washington State will get it down, and maybe they'll win.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly why.
Games can be swayed. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and that's why we need Sam in the booth because we know he'll do it right. That's right. That's exactly why we
I'll
need.
certainly try.
No, we trust you. We trust you. We trust you. All right. So we got our. All right, so we got the SEC up last here. Georgia having a bit of a lackluster game against Kent State, winning 39-22. They still won. Big deal. Bama doing what Bama does, killing Vanderbilt 55-3. Kentucky having a little bit of a lackluster game against Northern Illinois, 31-23. This seemed to be a theme for the SEC, just kind of lackluster showings, but they're still pulling off the win. Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss had a similar outcome. This was one of the two big games on the SEC. Arkansas and Texas A&M, the Southwest Classic. A&M getting a 2-point win over the 10th ranked Razorbacks, getting a 23-21 win. Arkansas's kick went off the very top of the right upright and just bounced back and gave A&M a very good win in Jerry's World. Close game here. It was actually a 14-0 game to start, and A&M went on a 23-0 stretch until Arkansas would get another touchdown, have a chance late, and just could not pull it off. A&M's team, I think this team has a ton of potential, but really they got. I mean, a team when you got a team with a lot of potential, they need obviously a lot of growth. This is a very young Texas A&M team, has a lot of freshmen, which means they are prone to a lot of mistakes. And they made a lot of mistakes earlier in the year. I think here you're finally seeing this Texas A&M team showing some growth and showing that they're already improving. Of course, that loss at Appalachian State looks ugly, but then you get a win against a Miami, Florida team that at the time looked good and doesn't look good anymore. But now you get a win at home in a neutral site against a good Arkansas team, and you score, a lot more than you have so much. Than really the past two games where you scored 14 and 17. It's showing that A&M is just slightly improving game after game, and considering you have Alabama coming up soon, you need all those games. You need that improvement, and I think the more time that A&M gets to play together, the more experience that these young freshmen get, that this A&M team is only going to get better and only going to get more dangerous.
Yeah, there's only a few teams that really have a shot against Alabama in the SEC. Georgia, Auburn, LSU, and then for some reason Texas A&M. They always compete. They always compete pretty well against Alabama. So just to be that one split on Alabama's schedule before they get the championship game. But yeah, I've never seen anything like that in my life. The ball was just hitting off the top of the upright and then going backwards. Like that almost kind of honestly.
Yes, the infamous double doink.
The ball is heading one direction. It's heading towards net or towards the crowd, towards the stadium. And at some angle of the hole, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy.
Crazy angle. It hits the top of the upright and then comes back. It was like, that was wild.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, really, for college football, as everything was very closely contested and everything was just, really, really insane. And speaking of insane games, how about Tennessee and Florida? Game of the week, as this was where college game day was. Over in Knoxville, Tennessee getting the 38-33 win over the Florida Gators. For once, Anthony Richardson actually, threw a couple touchdowns. Only issue was Florida couldn't stop Tennessee at all. So, it was a good game, though, for Anthony Richardson. I mean, his completion percentage was not great. I mean, he was 24 of 44, which is not good. But he threw for 453 yards with two touchdowns and one pick. He also ran for 62 yards on 17 carries and another two touchdowns. So, I like Anthony Richardson a lot. I think he has a crud ton of potential. Well, I said, this is what I kind of said during the when I made the pick for this game. Anthony Richardson's potential and talent level is way up here, but his football IQ and his decision making is way down here. There needs to be some sort of like a meet or I mean, obviously he's a young guy, and that's going to just like everybody else, that's going to develop over time. But obviously he's a young guy. He's making a lot of mistakes. He's doing a lot of dumb stuff, and he needs to clean that up. But his potential is through the roof, and I can definitely see why the NFL scouts like this guy so much, because they see the potential that's in him and what he is capable of. They just need the, those kinks in his game are all they need to fix. And the guy's gonna be an all-star. He's gonna be really good.
I really like Anthony Richardson at quarterback for Florida. close game, good game. Tennessee just holds them off at the end. But yeah, Richardson's still a young guy. He's still got a lot of time to improve and develop. And they say that your brain keeps developing until you're 25. So he's definitely got some time before that prefrontal cortex is fully developed, and that's where you make the decisions. That's the decision making that you do in your brain. So definitely some time, and it makes sense. The NFL quarterbacks, the experienced guys, the veterans, they understand, they know what they're doing, and perhaps Richardson will get there one day. But for now, he's just got to keep developing, taking the steps. Looking forward to that Georgia game coming up in a few weeks. But take care of business with Florida first.
Yeah, one step at a time for the Gators. So next we have here's Ole Miss. Ole Miss getting a sorry, excuse me. Ole Miss getting a very close win against Tulsa, winning 35-27. SEC was really, honestly, all kind of having lackluster weeks. All of them still winning, though, mostly. Auburn and Missouri going to overtime with the Auburn Tigers getting the 17-14 win. I mean, good game, but neither of these teams are any good, especially Auburn. I don't like their team. I think by the end of the season, Brian Harson's about to be fired. This Auburn team has just been, I mean, there's all kinds of investigations into the program. They're not a mess like Arizona State, but their program is obviously under some fire, and Harson's obviously going to have some issues. And Missouri's team, it's not really that special either. Bowling Green getting thumped by Mississippi State 45-14, and LSU blinking New Mexico 38-0. And South Carolina hammering Charlotte 56-20. Anything else to say about the SEC?
The SEC looks pretty much like the SEC should. I mean, you're going to get those performances like every once in a while. You're not playing at the top performance you could be. You might be playing down to the level of the team that you're playing, and that'll create some closer games. So that'd be one of the main reasons you might have had some of their closer games of Ole Miss and Kentucky, and even Georgia. You might be getting some of the second string guys, perhaps, and just kind of getting the guys that don't get an opportunity to play those opportunities. So that's why you might have had it at this time, so they can get the real games in. The SEC, I'm sure conference play starts like full on, most likely next week. So that's what they're getting ready for.
Yeah, mostly by next week, pretty much everybody is in conference play for those who are in the conference. And so very quickly, we'll just breeze through the top 25 as me and Stravinsky always do. Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson remain the top five. No changes there. Think that's fair for this week. USC moving up one spot along with Kentucky. Tennessee jumping three up to number 8 after beating Florida. I'm not the biggest Tennessee believer. Don't really love the defense and don't really love Hendon Hooker, but they're 4-0, so it does make sense. Oklahoma State remain number 9. NC State up 2 spots, number 10 before their big match with Clemson. Penn State up to number 11 after their win this past week. Utah moving up as well. Oregon going up number 2 along with Ole Miss. Washington up to 15th after getting a win against Stanford. Baylor going up one spot after knocking off Iowa State. Texas A&M getting a 6 spot bump after knocking off Arkansas. Texas A&M going to 17th. Oklahoma taking a huge tumble after losing to Kansas State, going to number 18. BYU remaining the same. Arkansas dropping down 10 to number 20. Minnesota, one of 3 new teams to join the rankings this week. Minnesota in at number 21. Wake dropping 1 to 22 after their loss to Clemson. Florida State jumping into the rankings at 23. Pitt remain 24th. And Kansas State jumping in at number 25 after upsetting Oklahoma. Anything to really say about this top 25 poll? I honestly have no issues with it. I think it's mostly fair. And really, honestly, the only reason Kansas State is ranked is because they beat Oklahoma. Only
Yeah,
reason that I
Kansas and
guarantee you.
Syracuse.
It's the only reason, and I can guarantee you that.
Kansas and Syracuse got snubbed.
Yeah, I mean,
They very well could get in the next coming weeks. We'll see though. We'll see. I think rest of the poll looks fine. Minnesota definitely deserves to be up there.
oh
Going
yeah,
in this week. Florida State has not looked too bad. Quality wins, quality opponents, and if Arkansas should drop, as predicted, Oklahoma should take a tumble, as predicted, and Florida dropped out of the rankings, right?
yeah.
So
Florida's out.
no different. Yeah, Florida dropped. Everybody else dropped